folks. DeTulio on the inside, Garcia on the outside, the two primary combatants in the championship up front right now. We'll go side by side. This is going to be a wild one. Away they go, lined up, super nice. USF Pro 2000, the top level. The stars of the USF Pro Championships are green, green, green. The race down into turn number 1. To the inside, not surprising, DeTulio. He'll hold the bottom of the racetrack, but there's other drivers trying to challenge him. Garcia looking to go around the outside. He does not quite have the gap. He'll tuck right back in behind. Good start for Jacob Douglas. He'll slot in, as will Michael Costello. So those two drivers going into third and fourth. Check box number 1. Get through the opening corner. Cleanly hold your spot. Here's a big move to the inside for Ariel Elkin. He'll try the bottom of Costello, but he'll run the cushion on the outside of the racetrack. That wide line gives him the advantageous inside line into turn number 5. And look at that, all the way around the outside for Elkin. What a beautiful overtake. Ariel Elkin, one driver all the way off. I think that might have been Matt Clark. I think he might have got pushed off to the outside of the racetrack in turn number 4. He's got to cut some grass over there. He'll pull himself back out of the racetrack. I believe he does. So he is clean, but back with the leaders here. Big move here. Elkin's going to go by Douglas as well. Out of the gate strong for Ariel Elkin. To the inside, book it. Finishes it down in turn number 8 and 9. More dust being sprayed up further back. Drivers dropping wheels on the exit of turn number 7. But here is your opening lap. Now it's the two drivers going at each other. Look way around the outside. Yeah, this is the two drivers here scrapping it out from Pabst. There's some more contact there. That might not have been Clark that went off. I think that's Clark right there. So we'll have to see who it was that went off. It was one of the cars with the white side pods. It may have been a D-Force car, but we'll give you a full rack when we come through here. We'll line them up for you, a full field rundown. DeTulio out of the gate with the initial lead. Garcia putting the challenge. As we know, they've got themselves out front. Ariel Elkin, an impressive start. Elkin goes up to third. How about Jace Denmark? Folks, Jace Denmark started all the way back. Remember, I didn't get to him till mid-pack kind of thing. 8th for him. He goes up 3 spots on the opening lap. That is a driver on the attack. The driver went off, I believe. Yeah, it indeed was Matt Clark. It was Clark that went off. I think it was Max Taylor, the driver that I thought was him coming through turns number 10, 11, and 12. So Clark all the way off the track. He's going to want to see a yellow flag sooner or later to get himself back up. Here's a side-by-side battle here. I believe that's Tyke Durst scrapping it out with Frankie Mossman. Indeed it is. That's for the spots inside the top 10. Mossman with a better run out of the corner, but Durst still on the inside. Who's going to lift? Dirk all way to the outside of the racetrack. Both drivers giving each other room. That was solid. Because I'll tell you, G3, that's a tough place to drive through that corner. As we got another dust up. Want to make sure nobody's off. Another driver's dropped the wheel. One of the D-Force cars. That corner, when you're side by side like that, someone's going to lift into the corner. But you got to give each other enough room through turn number 5.
Yeah, it's a very sketchy passing opportunity, and the 2000 is just a very light lift. So a lot of the time you'll end up car on the outside. Sometimes we'll go and send it, and a lot of the times if you guys both don't lift, then it's not going to be good. So
we've seen a couple times where it's 2 drivers in the gravel trap, not just one. That's when both of you come out to the bottom end. We actually saw that in your USF 2000 race with Brady Golan and Ryan Janetta. Both of those drivers hurt with that incident, dropping down to the tail of the field. Little squirm there to the inside of the racetrack. That's, I believe, that might be Denmark and Costello. That is going to be 5th and 6th. Yeah, that's Denmark and Costello. Costello trying to go around the outside. I think he got the job done. Costello's moved his way back up into 5th. Denmark back to 6th. 7th is Mossman. Or probably 7th is Taylor. 8th is Mossman. 9th, Durst. 10, George Garcia Arce. So, indeed, the opening laps here. A little bit hectic. Tough one, though, for the 3rd place driver in the points. Matt Clark started 7th, was on the outside at turn number 4. We didn't see it, only really to see the driver off the racetrack in all 4 wheels in the grass. Race control, I think, is having a look at that right now, to be honest. They are right beside us here in the start-finish tower. Again, a little better of an introduction as we were kind of hurried there at the start. G3 Argyros from Pabst Racing joining us here in the booth. Interesting season last year for you, G3. You ran USF Juniors as your primary program. You ran a bunch of USF 2000 races. You actually had more podiums in the USF 2000 car than the Juniors car. You had a really good kind of sampling and getting a win, of course, at Portland in USF 2000.
Yeah, the plan was to go and get as much experience I could last year and run a half season from Indy GP onward of USF 2000, and then I ran the full season of juniors. We ended out with 6 podiums and obviously that win at Portland, which gave us a lot of momentum going into St. Pete, and we've really capitalized, came into this weekend 3rd in points, and so now we had a little bit of unlucky in the first 2 races, but we're starting from 3rd for race 3, so we're going to go out there and try to bring home a win.
I like it. We're gonna prep him up here right now because, of course, he's the first race in the afternoon. We go back-to-back with USF 2000 and Pro 2000. He's got that momentum. He's got that excitement from a good starting spot. So G3, the Californian, joined me here in the booth. We'll come to him momentarily throughout the run. DeTulio, Garcia, Elkin, and Douglas. And I talked about the fact when we chatted with Ariel down on pit lane that he has been kind of the fastest of the TJ speed cars here this weekend. Not really a big surprise to me because he was very good in juniors last year, but of course Jace Denmark talked about the fact that he was in the podium last year, or rather on the pole last year as well. So indeed, both of those drivers now up into the top 10. Denmark currently running in 7th, and their teammate Sebastian Manson now down in 14th. Owen Tenjavelu, the VRD driver who started the tail of the field for being light at the scales after qualifying, has worked his way already up into 15th position. And indeed, he and Matt Clark about a second and a bit behind Manson, a couple seconds behind Becklin, so they do have a chance to keep working their way forward. As we look out the side of the booth here as well, the glass wall booth, we do see more dust up over in turn number 6 and 7. You can see it there now in the background. Doesn't take much, G3, to drop a wheel back there, and it's going to suck you in unless you're really, really quickly on the input on the wheel.
Yeah, that curb's very aggressive on the outside, and all it takes is a minor miscalculation, and you're dropping the wheel and losing a lot of time down that straightaway. And so even in our race, we saw almost every other lap one of the drivers would drop a wheel.
In the 2000 car, what is the throttle application? Where are you percentage-wise through, let's say, 5, 6, and 7 as respective corners?
Yeah, so that whole trio of corners, it's very important to keep the car level and not to upset it. Yep. So we're doing very slow lifts and just trying to keep the car level, not upset the rear. So we do go around to 30%, but it's just a very slow lift and a very slow throttle.
On all 3 corners, or is there any one that you got a little bit more throttle on?
They're all pretty similar,
okay,
with a large, slow lift-off release of the throttle, yep, and then you're slowly applying it back on. Because any oversteer and you're going into gravel track.
And you don't have the big wings and the aerodynamics that the pro cars have, for
nope,
sure. Exactly that. So indeed, watching the early run here, the top 4 drivers are settling in. There's a battle further back there. As I think we saw, it might have been one of the, maybe Garcia Arce getting a spot ahead of Durst, I think. Garcia Arce potentially up into 9th, Durst back into 10th where he finished yesterday. Right behind him, now I believe, is the 21 of Logan Adams. So Adams trying to work his way back forward as well. As he had said in the pre-show, he got the Hard Charger Award coming from deep in the field, and this time here, Adams, again, starting a little bit further back, as we talked about when we went through the grid. He trying to work his way back forward, 14th up into 11th. So 3 spots over the opening couple laps for Logan Adams as we're working lap number 5 of a scheduled 18. And again, looking as well to Matt Clark and potentially Owen Tenjavelu trying to come back through the field after the incident that we had early there. Here's some of the battles a little bit deeper in the field right now, trying to work their way forward. Joey Brienza right in there. He's got Logan Adams in front of him, only by a couple of tenths of a second. Cooper Becklin right behind Brienza. Tenjavelu coming up. And indeed, Garcia Arce completing that pass on tight Durst to move George Garcia Arce from 11th now up into 10th. That's that kind of battle. Actually, he's in the 9th. That's that kind of mid-pack battle.
We got Mossman looking here on the outside of 3 inside.
Ooh,
he's going to get covered.
A little cover down the bottom there, right, for Jace Denmark. Didn't want to let that one happen.
Yeah, that was a little sketchy, a little hairy, but, you know, it'll work for him for now. We'll see what the officials have to say about that.
Again, a little lean to the inside, maybe not so much. The big swerve. They say you can't move in retaliation. So if a driver comes up on you, makes a big move to the inside, you then can't essentially move over to defend. You can't move in defense. You can move whenever you want, but you can't move in defense. Big speed coming through there. Mossman had to check up a little bit. I'm sure lost a lot of air off the front wing. You can see how much gap he's lost as he was so close to Denmark coming through 5 and 6. And indeed, watching to see what Clark does, working his way back. He's up to 16th position now. He's only about 3 tenths behind Sebastian Manson, and kind of keying on a driver who's up there in the points. He was they did exactly the same lap times last time, 1:33.0. So maybe a bit of a plateau right now here for Clark, although he's probably in the aero wash. He's got to set himself up to get that pass done. And let's come to that in G3. So the aero wash is there. You can't stay on someone's gearbox through 5, 6, and 7, or 8 and 9. You're going to lose the front end, and you're going to be dealing with understeer. How do you set that pass up playing with what would be the window of the aero wash?
Yeah, I'd love to give you more detail, but, you know, I'm sure some of my competition are listening in. But a lot of it is really planning out where the air wash is going to come in. It's giving yourself enough of a gap out of 6 to get a really good run onto the straightaway, and then timing it just right so you can pull alongside the end of the straightaway. Because if you're too early, you're going to get all that air wash through 9 and drive through the dirt.
No trade secrets from J3 here today. He's going to keep it quiet on us here. And again, not even to the halfway point of this one, an 18 lapper. That would be lap number 9. We'll have a look at what happened here. We'll see whether or not some penalties do come back. I was told that you were actually on the chat earlier.
Yes, I was.
Did you hop on the chat? We're talking to some of the fans. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was admiring the pre-race show. I love that new feature. You know, these pro guys are at the top of the ladder, and they deserve their recognition. So
that's it.
Yeah.
Right from the chat to the driver analyst chair, G3 Ardros. The kid does it all, ladies and gentlemen. Good to have him here.
Thank you, Rob. It's my pleasure.
Tangevelu now up into the 13th position. Remember, started dead last, but I believe he had qualified P5, I think, when he went underweight by not much. But not much is enough, right? As we know, that's why you have a hard minimum. So indeed, starting at the tail of the field, Tangevelu now up into the 13th spot. His teammate Max Taylor currently running P5. Tulio's lead just about a second right now. And maybe even more importantly is the battle potentially for second. You can see that Ariel Elkin, he has actually the fast lap of the race, a 1:31.029. He is slowly closing up here. Almost identical lap times last time by to he and Garcia, but Elkin pushing hard to try to get that first podium. A multi-time winner in USF Juniors last year, electing to get an opportunity to move up to TJ Speed, jumping over top of USF 2000, right to Pro 2000, starting to put the pressure on now. And this, to be honest, will play right into the hands of Alessandro Di Tullio. He'd be more than happy to hear that Elkin putting all that pressure, because as we know, G3, from karting through to cars, if you're the guy that's chasing and there's nobody behind you, your 100% focus is to try to get that driver in front of you, try to push him into a mistake. When you're getting pressure from behind, that's when the balance is. Is it 50-50? Is it 70 forward, 30 backwards? Eventually, it's the other way around where you're really thinking about defense more than you are about being offensive.
Yeah, I think that at this point in the race, it's going to be a lot about Garcia being able to keep his focus forward. And, you know, there's a little bit where you can get into the habit of mirror driving and focusing so much on the car behind that you lose to the car in front. But I think that at this point of the race, Garcia is still focused on going forward, and I think that Elkin, if he's smart, he should work with him and get up there. What
do you think about tires? I know that you have 3 teammates here that I'm sure you sat in with debriefs to be able to get that. That's one of the beautiful things about being with a team, that you're able to get that debrief. Is I believe that's the pass for Logan Adams. He's been able to get by Tyke Durst, but here comes another pass here. I think they had some trouble coming into that corner, because there's an overtake. Oh, Adams is going to lock up the right front coming into the corner. He had to do whatever he could to stay ahead of Joey Brienza, and has done so. Brienza has the spot, and I believe that's Tangevelu right in there as well. Tangevelu's in there, Manson's in there. This is a massive scrap. This is a 10th, 11th on back, so this is the second half of the field. Elbows up like crazy as they come out of turn number 13. But to get back to that, this was a great battle. I had to cut away. You get a chance to be there. You're USF 2000, but you have all 3 of those drivers in pro. I'm sure you sit down on some debriefs. How much discussions are we having about tire wear? Is this place tough on tires?
Very much so, and even in the 2000s, we're going through tires in qualifying. We saw, a lot of guys doing double stinting and doing a 4 or 5 lap run and then coming in. And so the tires do definitely fall away, and especially in a 18-lap race like this, it's going to come in at the end. The rears are going to start to wear. These cars have so much power and so much downforce, you're really wearing them down. And this track, it's very abrasive, so it's going to come into the end of, who's going to be battling. Their tires are going to be more gone, versus if you're going to drive smooth and, keep your tires clean to the end, you might pull out some pace at the very end.
Yeah, did you save enough to the end? Here's this battle we see right now. This is Brienza, Durst, Manson, and Clark. That is 12th back to 15th. Matt Clark has closed onto this group. He and Manson have closed onto the battle that we saw with Adams, Tangevelu, and Brienza. Tyke Durst in there as well. Whether or not Matt Clark can leverage this and potentially find a way by, there has not been any issues on the racetrack as of yet. We're just closing to the halfway point. In fact, this time by will put lap number 9 in the book, so they'll see the crossed halfway flags to be halfway to go. There goes Clark to the inside, turn number 10, book it. Matt Clark through on Sebastian Manson. He has been hounding him for at least 3 laps. Finally able to get by. He'll put the sights on the back of Tyke Durst right now. Matt Clark in full rebound mode after the issues that he had at the start of the race. We believe that might have been the contact between he and, I think, Jace Denmark into turn number 4. We'll see how that plays out when it's all said and done. But here's Manson kind of come back onto the inside of Clark. Clark made the move in turn 10. Manson going to go back by on the inside, so all that work is done. Clark can't quite defend. Surprised a little bit that he didn't go to the inside of the racetrack there.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about turn one is that it's great for if you're passing, not so much so if you're defending, but you can make it work either side. You know, we saw in our start, I drove around the outside of starting fourth, and we came out third. So you can make the outside or the inside work. Oh, that gets a little hairy there.
Yeah, that's that battle a little bit further back. That is, I believe, Durst and Montiero, I think, scrapping it out there as well. So, again, elbows up big time here, folks. Everybody's trying to fight. I don't care if you're running for second, third, or fourth, or 10th, or 11th, or 12th. When you think about it along championships, sometimes championships are won by your better, worst finishes as opposed to all the wins that you get. Maybe you're the driver that had a 15th place car, G3, and you drive it to 8th, right? It's not a car that can do it. I would say it's a Scott Dixon thing. You know, you got a car that you know maybe is a 5th place car, but you put it on the podium. It's a 10th place car, but you're top 5. It's about minimalizing the damage anytime you have issues.
Yeah, consistency and maximizing your results is something very important in this championship, especially because you get points just for finishing. And so that's something that I think my team's really strong at. We ran every lap in both series last year up until Portland. And so we had 0 technical failures, and you know that helps win championships. When you know that your car is going to last to the end of the season, that's just finishing every race. That's something very important.
And what does it take as a young driver for that to get through your thick skulls? Because we talk to you guys all the time about trying to finish races, and we see yellows out there. You went through juniors, second half of the season, you added USF 2000. Was there a turning point for you, or was it something you kept getting drilled into your head by your team that, listen, we got to finish races. You got to just get to the end. We need to get you the laps. When does it happen for you as a young driver? We see it in USF juniors occasionally. Wrecks back in 16th, 17th, and 18th.
Yeah, so a lot of it is just looking at past champions. The people that are in the fight at Portland are the people who haven't made bad mistakes and crashed and whatnot. They're always in the fight, and even if you're sitting in 4th, 5th, 6th, you're consistently getting points and you're always up there.
Yeah.
We saw DeTullio have not a great weekend at race 2, and that definitely hindered his chances.
Look at this fight we're seeing right now, folks. This is Ariel Elkin getting super aggressive. He's going to try to go around the outside. Oh, no. Garcia was having none of that.
Yeah, he shut that down quickly.
Big time. He was trying to go all the way around the outside. And if that works, if you have that spot to the outside of 11, and you can keep that through to the essentially entry to the apex of 12, you've got that spot done. So not quite there yet for Ariel Elkin, as he'll go right back at it again. But again, really good input there from G3, talking essentially about modeling. It's one of the things where you find somebody who you want to have the same success as them. Really do the deep dive, do the research on what they did. What were the results like? You can go back and look at, hey, what was their average finish over the year? What was their worst finish? How many wins did they get? If I hit the average finish, the points are going to come out the same, and I'm probably going to get what I need. So again, to be able to have that and say, okay, listen, Max Garcia finished every race last year at USF 2000, right? I can't remember what his worst finish was, but he was there at the end of all the races. That's the consistency, and you hope that people understand that. But back on this battle here, we've chatted about that enough. We are now 11 laps in. We have 7 laps to go, and the fight is on for P2, which really means right now that Alessandro DeTullio is out front and checking out. 2.2 seconds. Now the advantage for DeTullio, trying to win his third race of the year. It would be his second straight getting the win in the opening round here today. But indeed, this is Max Garcia realizing the situation here. He rolls into here with a minor point lead. Not a minor point lead, pretty decent, but it would shrink significantly. He has a 16-point lead or 14-point lead coming into the day. But remember, it's 5 points between first and second. Elkin's got the fast lap. DeTullio's already going to get the most laps led. He started on the pole, so at least 2 bonus points there for him right now, maybe 3 if he gets 1 more. He's able to lay the fast lap down. The battle we're seeing right now is between second and third. That is Garcia and Elkin, but Jacob Douglas is seeing it happen. He was faster by 0.2 of a second than both these drivers. Douglas back up on the wheel. It's almost like Garcia's waiting for his wingman to get there, right? He's got Maverick on him here at Top Gun School, ready to take him down. He needs his wingman. He needs some help right now as there's a big move to the inside there. Elkin trying to fill the mirrors of Garcia. But yeah, he's hoping that Douglas gets up there and potentially starts taking some of that concentration away. You could see
Elkin
G3
is hunting for that. He really wants that move. He's trying every which way going in there.
Hunting, staying in the mirror, and making sure he has a little bit of air on the front wing. Big dive bomb move to 5 again. So every time he's trying to fill that mirror to see if he can't shake up Garcia a bit. That's tough, though. He's got the scholarship colors on the car for a reason. He's the USF 2000 champion from 2024.
Yeah, he's got a lot of experience defending, and know, I know he was chasing me, and he put a lot of pressure on me when I won in Portland. So I know that he's one of the best out there. And so if Elkin's going to shake him, he's got to do a great job. But so far, he's doing a really good job keeping right up his attenuator the entire race. Here we see him move around the outside. Not going to make it work. Garcia shuts that down again. He's not having that.
You've been through there too, so what are the bumps like through there? He was kind of around the outside, but you see the car started to kind of get upset a little bit, and he had to pedal it to get back to the right side of the racetrack.
Yeah, so this track is pretty close to what we were dealing with down at St. Pete. If you're not on the perfect racing line, there's a lot of bumps, and there's a bump down in 6 and a bump on the exit.
Yep.
And so there's a lot of bumps here, and so you can use that to your advantage if you know where the bumps are on the track walk and really look at it.
So 2 things right now. He's going to press the reset button, Elkin, but he loses the ground to Garcia, but he also gets closed up a little bit behind him by Jacob Douglas. He's trying to reel him back in again. So here we are with, 5 to go. DeTulio's your leader. Garcia second, Elkin third, Douglas and Taylor. 4 seconds back is Michael Costello. He's got 2 seconds on Jace Denmark. Frankie Mossman has driven his way up from 12th to 8th, +4 for Fast Frankie. Good run for him. He definitely needs to get back up in here. He fell down the order to 15th in points, so he is now up into 8th. George Garciarce 9th, and Owen Tangevelu from dead last 19th, already up into the 10th position with 5 laps remaining. He's about 2.5 seconds behind Garciarce and was 8/10 quicker on the last lap. Big move to the inside here further back. That is, I believe, Manson and Durst. That is going to be for 13th. So Manson goes to 13th, Durst into 14th, but he's not done. We were watching the progress of Matt Clark coming forward, but he has fallen all the way back to 17th. So unsure what happened there. He was, of course, in the middle of a great battle with Adams and Branza, Manson, Durst. He's fallen back into the 17th spot there. So not the race that Matt Clark was looking for, coming in P3 in points. But again, he's got a significant lead of 15 points or 16 points over Taylor. He's got even more, 24 points over Denmark, or Douglas. So even a bad finish here is not going to hurt him tremendously, but he'll have to, of course, anytime you have a big bad race like that. G3, somewhere down the line in the schedule, you got to win a couple of races, right? You got to sweep a weekend somewhere.
Very important. And I mean, I know Jacob Douglas is sitting behind the wheel, licking his chops, looking at how Garcia and Elkin are going at it. So if I were him, it's laps are taken down. This is officially endgame. So he's trying to capitalize, and I'm sure that Jacob is gonna really put the pressure on when he gets there, because this is a great opportunity that's being given to him.
Yeah, indeed. The more these guys battle up front, because look at this, Elkin has already got his way back up there again, a little more shallow of an exit to try to get the air on that wing. He keeps showing a wheel. Ariel Elkin trying to find a way by, and he's one of those drivers that you never have to push on the radio. Hey, listen, you need to get more aggressive. You don't say that to Ariel Elkin. I don't think you say that to you either, G3. You're pretty aggressive out there as well. So
no, sir.
No. You go back to the days of, I remember Roger Penske saying that about Paul Tracy. He wrecked a lot of race cars, but he never had to push him forward. You're always trying to pull him back a little bit, try to be a little less aggressive. We'll see what happens here, as this one's going to come down to the waning stages. 4 laps remaining, and it is a 3.5 second lead for Alessandro DeTulio. ADT last year was ranked in the, I think he was the 3rd ranked driver in single speed karting by my website, ekartingnews.com. He's one of the top coaches as well, working with Rocket Racing Company. He still does a lot of work in karting, coaching young drivers. And again, it's not like he's super old himself. It's not like he's in his mid-20s. One of the things about this driver here, he's only 18 years of age, out of Miami, Florida. And again, we talk a lot about and will throughout the year, about his journey through the sport, getting a chance to run USF Juniors the first year in 2022 when we used the old Ligier 4 car. Didn't win the championship, and without the scholarship was not able to progress into USF 2000 in 2023. He went back to go-kart racing, and again was a front-running go-kart driver, a coach, was winning races in karting again on the very national level, Superkarts USA, Rock Cup, United States Pro Kart Series. But then he had an opportunity, met the right people, and got a chance to do almost a half season, second half of the season for BN Racing. And in the podcast he and I did after St. Petersburg, he talked about the fact that his goal wasn't to try to pass anybody. He wasn't trying to race anybody. It was seat time. It was just getting experience in the car, and he qualified well. So instead of being in the back where he could get comfortable and learn to race, he was actually in the middle of these guys' battles who were trying to fight for a championship. That program, that support he now has, is focused on trying to get him to IndyCar, I believe. And to have him be able to come back here with a championship-winning team like Turn 3, he is delivering. And when you get presented with opportunities, the top guns, the stars, the pros deliver, and that is what Alessandro Di Tullio is doing right now, teamed with Peter and Mandy Dempsey at Turn 3 and that fantastic crew. This battle is not done, though. Max Garcia, USF 2000 champion with a scholarship here for USF Pro this year, has been hounded race long by Israel's Ariel Elkin for TJ Speed. And I like that too. 3 different teams in the top 3. Turn 3, Paps and TJ Speed. Big run again. Will we see a lunge somewhere here? Not quite. Length and a half back.
Yeah, see, this is where we see that tire wear that we were talking about. Elkin's been sitting up Max's diffuser most of the race, and that means he's going to have a lot of understeer. Those fronts are going to be working hard. So if he's going to make something happen, he's going to have to make it quick before the tires completely go.
I was 100% going to say that. He's beating those front tires up. You get in there and you get that air wash, that understeer. When you don't have enough air on the front wing, it just does not put that pressure down on the tires to help increase the grip. And you'll see the drivers adding wheel into it because the car just wants to push forward on you. Here is the leader, Di Tullio, as we often do here after watching the battles further back. Let's take some time to put the spotlight on the driver who is showing flat domination on the day here right now. Those battling behind him, Alessandro Di Tullio out to a solid lead, 3.3 seconds. Everybody's still on the track right now. I believe Charles Finelli, potentially was lapped and may have come to pit lane, or he may have just got lapped and still on the racetrack. But nonetheless, everybody else still rolling. This is good stuff. And listen, I talk a lot about, I brag about you guys and how it's hardcore racing, but you're also understanding you have to give each other room. We've had some green to checker races here already this weekend. USF Juniors being one, and I love to see this. You guys as well. I love seeing green to checker races. White flag coming. 1 lap to go for Di Tullio, and the pro drivers putting on a show. And this is, of course, was our kind of spotlight race for the weekend with the pre-show that we had, the opportunity with the time, the window to be able to get that done. We hope you enjoyed it here on the broadcast. But Di Tullio going to bring it home. This is going to be big stuff. He comes in, as I said, 16 points behind. He's probably going to gain about 7 because Elkin's still with the fast lap of the race. 25 points for Garcia unless Elkin gets him. And it'll likely be 33 points. So, yeah, he's going to gain 8 points. So you could knock this lead down to just 8 points going into race number 3. And that's how quickly things change. And I'll say the same thing to Liam McNeely. 4 straight wins on the season. Dude, you could not lift off the throttle because everybody behind you has the exact same potential to go on a 4-win streak. There's talented drivers, race-winning, team championship-winning operations all ready to go.
Elkin is close coming onto this straightaway. He might be able to make something work into turn 10. I think this is his last opportunity. So let's see if he can set up some pass here.
So G3 and I are watching the screen and we're watching off screen because this is Di Tullio here. We're seeing whether or not we have a battle. Let's go a little bit further back there. We'll see that pickup. We'll see if he comes to the inside. We're still watching Di Tullio. Look to the back of the screen there. He is not close enough to make the move to the inside.
Not enough.
Not really.
Also not enough for Douglas to catch up and maybe capitalize on that. But
so here we go, folks, coming out of the final corner. Checkered flag will fly. Call it 3 wins on the season. He'll close the championship to within 8 points. The winner in race number 2 at NOLA Motorsports Park in USF Pro 2000 is Alessandro Di Tullio. ATT, 3rd win of the season. He'll take the victory by 3.235 seconds. Max Garcia finishes in 2nd, holding off a determined Ariel Elkin, who sets fast lap of the race back on lap number 5. He'll take that bonus point as well. Jacob Douglas in 4th, Max Taylor 5th, Michael Costello in the 6th spot, Chase Denmark in 7th, Frankie Mossman 8th, George Garcia-Arce 9th, and from the very tail of the field, Owen Tangiavelu up into the top 10. What a drive for the VRD driver. Impressive. You want to start further forward, but G3, it's always satisfying when you're able to come from the back and be able to put in a race like that.
Yeah, being able to come to the front is very, very important, and being able to do that safely and cleanly is very, very good. And so props to him for moving forward, getting some points, and rolling forward, trying to keep those championship hopes alive.
G3, let's get the opportunity here as these guys are on a cool-down lap. First, let me tell you, talk about who your sponsors are here this weekend. Let's as well chat about your social media. I want people to be able to follow you on social. But first, let's talk about the sponsors.
Yeah, so obviously my mom, Positive Beverage, Positive Energy, they're my main sponsor. Me and my mom created that as a healthy alternative to drinking a Celsius or Red Bull. And so, that keeps me energized through the weekend. And it also, I've got a nice, really great speaker company, Sonance there, make some of the best speakers in the business. Also, something more on On my personal front, I have Elephant Cooperation, a nonprofit charity trying to save the elephants in Africa. That's
amazing.
That's one of my other sponsors. And then also Strut, they do grills for, Escalades and Land Rovers and all that. Very, very cool company. And then obviously Augie Paps Racing, they've hooked me up with a rocket ship this weekend that we went 3rd and 4th in qualifying in. So we're going to go and capitalize, make that car look good in race 3.
What are the social media channels?
Social media is just G3, the number 3 _ Argyros, and that's on Instagram, Facebook, all that. You can follow me there. We've got, live coverage, live streams, getting links up there.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait.
Before we go, live selfie. Done.
Thank you, Rob.
All right.
Always a pleasure.
G3, well done. That's G3 Argyros from Pabst Racing. We're going to let him take off and get into the booth here right now. I'm going to watch what's happening here. As again, we're going to wait to see Alessandro DiTullio come in for the second time here this weekend. He is going to step out of that race car as a winner. A fantastic drive for him. There comes Elkin coming in there. Here's the 44 of DiTullio coming in. And again, right behind him is Garcia. Alessandro DiTullio, folks, in that number 44, 3 wins. Very impressive for that driver to get the job done. And happy to see it happen. And indeed, doing a tremendous job here out front. So there he is. He'll get the helmet off, the Hans off, the himself unbuckled. You see the team already going to work, picking up the tire pressures. This is a big championship right now. I love seeing the way things are kind of rolling out here early. There are drivers here in this program, that are likely on a 2-year program, right? They're learning the most you can, learning some of this racetracks. Drivers who have come in from overseas or either New Zealand or Australia, their focus is to try to learn everything they can here to come back another season. It's drivers that are moving their way forward, are thinking Indy next for 2026. The scholarship, as we know, is a big one for these drivers to move their way up to the top of this program. And indeed, all of them focus so hard on trying to win. Here's DiTullio out of the car, and again, the celebration is coming. Dad's going to be the first guy to him this time. Awesome job there for Alessandro DiTullio. As we know, folks, our USF Juniors drivers will be on the racetrack here in a little while's time as well, as the pro drivers are finishing out. There's Mandy Dempsey, Peter Dempsey coming in. USF Juniors are show to start in quite a while, actually. We don't even start driver introduction for another 20 minutes. But we got Victory Lane still coming, folks, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a couple seconds. I'll head down to pit lane. Victory Lane celebrations. We'll have a quick break. Stream will continue, and we'll be back with USF Juniors. All right, folks, let's get things underway with Victory Lane here for race number 2 for the drivers in USF Pro 2000. Man, the racing, the hardcore racing was definitely further back, but there was some battling, as we know, up front as well. Let's start with a driver who put so much pressure on, was one of the big stars of that one, finishing in 3rd spot for TJ Speed, Ariel Elkin. What an awesome drive for Ariel. Bruce Foss from Continental is going to help us out, award some trophies here. Of course, he gave us the command to fire engines at the start as well. Ariel up on the wheel, was putting the pressure, hardcore, making his move to second. Bruce, thank you very much. You grab the other trophy. Let's get the driver who finished in 2nd spot here today for Pabst Racing. He'll still lead the points going to race 3. Max Garcia coming home P2. Bruce coming in to provide, again, the trophy for Max. The collection continuing after all those wins last year in USF 2000. One more spot on the podium, and it keeps on coming. 3 wins on the year. Your winner today, Alessandro DiTullio. Alessandro, that was some good stuff. You were able to jet away. The battle behind you was pretty epic, but the car looked really good. You were setting fantastic lap times.
Yeah, the car was great. We were consistent. And then at the beginning, they seemed to have a little bit more pace, and then we had more at the end. So, yeah, good race and one more now.
What's the mindset going into the last one? Do you think you can make the car any better? We know that the temperature's changing a little bit. It's getting a little hotter probably. Can you make changes to make it better?
I'm not sure. We have to debrief now. And, now we don't start in the front row anymore, I'm pretty sure. I think we start 4th. So the tendency will probably be different considering the dirty air and stuff. So we just need to go back, debrief, and then we'll see.
Who do you want to thank?
I want to thank the whole team. They've done a fantastic job, especially thanks to Peter. Yeah, we've been working great. Oh.
Nicely done.
Yeah, we've been working great all week. We're on a good streak here. I want to thank all my sponsors that are on the car, my family that's here, my mom and my dad, and everyone that supports me from back home. And wherever.
Congratulations. Get on top of the podium. Bruce, bring that trophy in for him here. Another P1 trophy, third on the year for Alessandro Di Tullio. And once again, it seems like it's just the theme of the weekend. 3 different teams on the podium as well. TJ Speed, Pabst Racing, and Turn 3 Motorsports. The 3 teams represented here in Victory Lane here after race number 2, the 351st USF Pro 2000 race. And again, what a drive it was. The Tullio, as we know, we had a lot of battling up front. Elkin pushed everything he could at Garcia. Just wasn't quite enough there. We'll let the Turn 3 team get that number 44 out of the way so they don't have to clean champagne off it here. We know, of course, the celebration after race 3 will be a little bit different. They can go after each other. The suits can go in the laundry after that. But one more race here this afternoon for the drivers. Getting the shots taken here. Champagne on its way out here for the drivers here at USF Pro 2000. This championship heating up, no doubt about that. Trophies back up in the air as high as they can with this tight suits we got going on these days. I'm keeping it real. There you have it, folks. Let's spray that champagne. Grip it and rip it. Little subdued celebration here. They'll do it again, of course, if they make it to the podium for race number 3. That wraps things up, folks, here for this one. Remember, USF Juniors, don't go anywhere on the stream, folks. If you're watching right now, the live chat's been pretty active throughout the day. We're going to be back here in about 15 minutes' time. USF Juniors drivers set to go. The stream will continue. More to come here on USF Pro TV.